Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. My face is not coming on the screen.
It's coming now. It's coming now.
Yeah. Fine. Absolutely fine. Yeah. Now we start. Very good morning to all of you. I, Urshila Khan, Program Coordinator of ACISE, on behalf of School of Vocational Education and Training, welcome you all for this another session of ACISE. I hope you all doing well. So as you already aware that we have already covered course 1, 2 and 4, that is OSEI 041, 42 and 44 in our earlier sessions, in which we have covered both theory and practical components, because those three courses are having two things, theory and practical. That's why they are called integrated, and that is why they are I is attached in the code OSEI. And today what we are doing for that, the third course, that is OSE-043. So in that course I is not there because it is not integrated course, it is only having theory component. So that's why, so OSEI 041, 42 and 44, they are having theory plus practical. Both things you have to give. The term and exam, theory you have to give and practical as well. But for OSE 043, you have to only appear for theory term and exam. There is no practical in it. Fine. So today we are here to discuss the course 3, that is OSE-043, which title is Information Technology Security, in which we will cover block 1, 2 and 3. There are 3 blocks only in this particular course. So before starting, I want to highlight again those points only for the new comers and for the new participants, that the study material of this program is already available in the soft copy in our eGyan Kosh on our website, that is www.ignou.ac.in, and you can also download the study material on your mobile by using Ignou e-content app, which you can download from the Play Store, available on your mobile phone. So it is very easy, and the language is very simple. You just read it, you will easily understand and able to write the answers in your term and exams. So second thing, assignments. Assignments is very important, because so many emails I am receiving that how to submit the assignments, and I want to inform you, even I send the mail also, the last date for submitting the assignments is extended for to 15th June 2020. So you have still so much time with you. So start writing the assignments by hand, and you have, after finishing the assignments, you have to sign on every page, and then take the scan copy of that and send to my email ID, that is urshLakant@ignou.ac.in. So this is the assignment. You just keep the hard copy with you, because anytime we can ask for the hard copy also. So don't think you just you will give the reply ki ma'am we have lost our hard copy. So I want to tell you ki you have to keep the hard copy with you, and we will process your assignments and we will send the marks to the student evaluation division, because so many queries I am receiving, give the acknowledgement, and so because acknowledgement I cannot give acknowledgement right now because we are all at home. So we will process your assignments, whatever I have received assignments, I will process it, and I will send those marks to the student evaluation division, and they will they will upload those marks on the website, and you will get the marks on your website but it will take time, right? So it is not like in a 15-day or 20-day you will get the marks. So please just submit the assignments before time, that is 15 June 2020. So the third thing is the term and exam form. The date for submitting term and exam form is also has been extended to 15th June 2020. So on our website, just have to click on it and submit the form, and you have to submit for both theory and practical. That means 4 theory exam and 3 practical exam, because in OSE 043 there is no practical exam. So just I want to remind you ki OSE-043 there is no practical exam, and there are 3 practical exam and there are 4 theory term exam. So these are these term and exams have been postponed, which are going to be held on June. They are postponed, so the university will tell you the fresh dates whenever they will intimate you. But they will intimate before 15 days before. So, but start preparing for those exam also. And the previous year question papers are already available on our website. You just refer it and read the material. My request is read the material. That is called self-learning material. That teacher is inbuilt. So you just read the material, and the language is so simple. You will be able to understand it, each and every concept. And we have already taken this session, so it will be, and I've already sent the recording also, so it will be very helpful to you, all of you. So now today we have with us Dr. Anup Girdhar. He is CEO and founder of Security Solution and Technologies. He is cybersecurity consultant, cybercrime investigator. His area of specializations are cybersecurity, cybercrime investigation, cyber forensics, Linux administration, secure web development, secure code writing, cloud computing, open source development, data mining, and cyber laws. So I welcome you, sir. And now I will hand over this session to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So, shall we start?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So, very good morning to everyone. In today's session, we have a topic that is OSE-43. And according to that, there are a couple of topics which we have to cover today. The most important part, like first we have to talk from the beginning, that is what is W3C, their certification, their standards and all. So it's more theoretical part, so I'll just try to brief about these books. So if you can able to download, I think you can able to access, as Ushala ma'am correctly said, there are lots of things which are there inside these books. And even a part of that, we have other topics as well, where we are going to work about what is the need of the certification. We are going to talk about the ISO standards, ISMS standards, certain cybersecurity standards, and employer perspectives of ISO 27000 series. So that is one of the another part which we have to talk about. So quickly, I'll just start with this. I think we have one more book. Okay, one more block is there. Concern is what is W3C? Let us quickly start with W3C. I think today I'll try to brief little more about. See, whenever we are talking about standards, standard means like already everyone is working at their own organizations and they already have some checklist. They maintain certain criteria, they carry some infrastructure. So what is the process to handle those infrastructures? And especially, I think if you just correlate, especially in the enforcement agencies I have seen, and even in other departments as well. So what I have seen, like especially they have a process, they have a complete process that today, like one of the area was taken care by one unit, and tomorrow another unit wants to come and take care of it, or other person who is going to take care or continue the same process. So basically everybody have a checklist, and on that basis what happened, immediately the person complete their job for a day job and forward the entire duties and responsibilities, and along with all the other I would say the accessories which they are using, right, or the equipments which they are using, they hand over to the other one, which is again recorded either manually on registers, or nowadays automation is there because we use biometrics and other authentication model. Now only the part is like what is the process, how do we handle it, what is the criteria behind this. In the same way, in the same pattern, we are working on IT infrastructures. We have servers. So any person who is taking care of servers, some labs, some applications, network resources. So there are many things nowadays, even my data is in the cloud. So what happened, like in case if any incident occurred, How will respond that incident? What is the criteria for maintaining the servers? Do you have any deadlines of, say, expiry date of any warranty of any particular server or any version or so? So are we really keeping all these things in records? And generally, the main problem is why the standards are important, because if we really follow the standards, if we continue working according to the standard, that becomes your working culture very smooth, very handy, and again up to the mark as per the latest standards. So actually standards and certifications are more important nowadays throughout the globe. In fact, if already we are aware of ISO standards, like international standard organizations started working on different standards, and even we already worked on and we already discussed the practical part also of OSI model, that was for the networking, open source and interconnection models, that was from the OSI also again. So in the same way, international standard organization prepare lots of standards, and not only ISO, but there are many other bodies who are working on the standardization. Especially in India, we have one of the department, BIS. I hope everybody heard about BIS. So BIS standards are there, like even who provides you like ISI mark and other marks as well. So in India, we have BIS headquarters near to ITO Delhi itself, right? So what is this all about? How they handle? What are the standardization process? This is a kind of a culture which comes across slow and gradually, I would say. This is a kind of a culture actually, right? Because today some standards are different. Tomorrow might be we'll found some lacunas, some issues in those standards. So the purpose is, can we upgrade those standards? So you will get even the versioning in the standards as well. So which type of versions which we are following? I hope you heard about very frequently. You have you have worked on like ISO this 9000 2008 series was actually for the operational standards. In the same pattern now it is 9000 2015 standard. So even there is a again lifeline for those standards as well. And the purpose of the certification, it means whether my organization, whether my working culture is actually compliant to that standard or not. So there are certain lead auditors, the auditors who used to visit your organization. They identify the working culture of your organization. They identify which type of certification you want to apply for, and according to their compliances, they try to correlate your working culture and give some guidelines to you that you should update to this particular part. This is missing. This is how you are handling. So the purpose is we need to identify the number of domains and the subdomains or sub-modules from that particular culture. Accordingly, we need to identify that what is the criteria, how they are maintaining the records. And in case if we have any better or easy to operate or easy to handle or more like user friendly, so we'll try to even sometimes replace their working standards. So that becomes more easy for everyone to understand, to grab, and to follow that particular part. And in case if, so that is more like practicing part in terms of standardizations and all. So this basically OSEI-043 is more related to standardization. Now, what is W3C? I hope we all are working on internet, right? As we are working on internet, we are aware of like the concept called www. So this W3C consortium, W3C consortium is an organization who provide even www or some internet standards, some major internet standards, where these standards explains you like what are the criterias, how we have to receive the data, what is the procedure to transmit the data, how it has to be globally accessible. So once we are talking about the content globalization, so that has to be taken care, especially by W3C consortium. So that is the one of the organization, and they recommended their procedures, their guidelines, and even they provide some certification on that basis. Right. So this is one of the most important criteria. And even though they are specifically talking about how do you improve the internet privacy using W3C. So if we are on W3C model, what is the criteria of W3C? Like if we want to increase the security policies on internet. Nowadays, we have lots of standards in W3C or even the latest standards like, I hope you heard about HTTPS protocol. So that is also one of the internal internet standards, security standards. Even it has been, so the SOs has already been, issued by RBI and other enforcement agencies. So they're working on those procedures and they prepared their standards that every nowadays, like if you have seen any online banking website, basically what they are doing, they are working on the culture that this entire model, right, has to be more end-to-end encryption standards. Let us implement some end-to-end encryption standards. And moreover, the data which is moving from the network side can be able to mitigate from the other types of attacks like man-in-the-middle attack or other DOS or DDoS attacks. So what is the criteria? Can we able to work on those criteria? Can we able to handle some data, or in case if anybody is trying to hack those sites or they're going to access the content of that site, right? So if somebody is doing certain activities, how to handle those things, what are the criteria, and what are the security standards to be implemented on those grounds. So these are the areas where we have to talk more in depth, and we have to discuss about multiple standards, encryption standard, data transmission standards, web access standards, right? So these are the areas which are very, very important nowadays. Okay. A part of that, we are going to talk today also on some other purpose. What is the need of the certification? Like it actually gives, a kind of a trust factor. Generally, it generates a trust factors in your customers or in your client end side, that today we have a certification that our organization is certified organization up to that particular standard. So that generally creates a trust factor in your customers that now if I'm going to share my data, like today, mostly the data is on cloud servers. So why the data is on cloud? Like today, if they are not maintaining ISO 27000 series standards, why should I go and place my data on their servers? Why I use their services? Why not I'll go for any certified or any branded companies? Like what is brands? Brands are nothing but, again, they started from the initial stage, right? So all the brands started from the initial stage, but now they're following certain standard. It means some quality assurance is there. So what are the types of quality assurance which they are working upon? What type of criteria they have maintained? So all these kind of things were actually to be discussed. Like there are lots of ISMS and ISO 27000 series applications are there, right? We have to talk about sometimes like cybersecurity standards also. Ministry of IT already raised some standards, even for a general public. If anyone visited one website, that is cybercrime.gov.in, that's a government website, Indian government website, where we can lodge a incident response. Basically, we can lodge a complaint related to any cybercrime, right? Where if you just go and visit, there are lots of audios has already been prepared by the government of India, and they prepared and they placed like how to access my password. Do we have any security process for the passwords? Do not share your mobiles in case of networking, in case of child abuse, in case of any woman harassments or any other types of cases. Like recently there was a case from one of the school students, that is boys locker room was one of the case. So boys locker room kind of cases were coming, that the people were talking on the social media sites, and they are talking about like rape cases and other type of cases. So under section 376 they were talking like rape cases, and so the legal point of view is little different. But before we go to the legal point of view, are we really talking about the security standards? Are we really talking about what type of awareness which we have to generate in terms of public domain, so that at least they should follow those standards? Today we are using like Wi-Fi, so our Wi-Fi is secured with some passwords or not. And even in case if there is a password protection, what type of password protection is that? And even though in case if the password got compromised by any hacker, by any technical person, so even though can we able to mitigate? So I think nowadays even cybersecurity standards are on a very, I would say on a very minute level, but I really appreciate, because every organization is maintaining their security standards by their own. It's a completely customized model. It's a completely customized process, because every person have their own different type of standards, and they have a different kind of uh, criteria where they are working. So only the concern is what is the criteria, and can we convert those different standard, different criterias in terms of uh, this a kind of a standard. So many cybersecurity standards are required. In fact, nowadays, I hope you heard about, there is a one concept called digital signatures. So every organization and all top CEOs or CEOs, CFOs, or any organization head like directors of any particular organization, it is mandatory for them to carry a digital signatures, where that you have different class of those digital signatures, that you are going only for say some tendering, or you are going for any online tenders, or any document to be submitted to the government. And we want that the data should not be disclosed, first of all. Second, we want that there must be some due diligence, and no one can do there is a concept called non-repudiation, which clearly says, the concept of non-repudiation, which clearly says that now the person cannot say no, who applied their digital signature, the person cannot say no that this document has not been duly signed by them. So what is their criteria? How we can check? How we can analyze? So there are many different types of standards which are working, and we have different criterias all about. So a part of that, the standards might be varying. Like sometimes we have the standards, but sometimes these standards might be vary from different I would say uh, the different country to country. According to that, we have different standards and different let me see if I have one PPT, I think would be more better for you. In 2013 was there. Yes. So I think if you will just forward this, you just go through with this, I think that would be more beneficial. So quickly, I'll just go through with this, a small PPT. So what is information security all about? What are the security standards? Like if we specifically talk about 27,000 series, why we are saying it's a series? Because now many more different types of standards or updated versions are also available in those series. So basically, whenever we talk about the information security or cyber security model, you can cross check and you can identify the protection of the information against the unauthorized disclose, transfer, or modification, or disrupt, whether the accidental or intentional information has been disclosed, has been accessed. So again, means on these ground, every particular word is very clear in cyber laws as well. In India, we already have a IT Act Amendment 2008, and further certain sections has already been updated. So that particular details are available on Ministry of IT website as well. We can download that PDF files, right? Or I hope you are all are somewhere connected with or aware of the concept of CERT. So Computer Emergency Response Team is one of the nodal office of India, which is again in the gadget that any type of cyber threat or cyber crime, or especially any particular attack which comes to our country, that has to be mitigated or monitored or tracked or to be, managed by CERT. So we already have the organizations who are working on this. So every particular word, if we really compare with every particular word, that data transmissions or modification, destructions, or whether it is a data which has been accidentally or intentionally been accessed, right? So for that, we already have the provisions of cyber law. So cyber law, I think we already also have a cyber law part. Yes. So we have to talk about, that's what we also have to talk about, cyber laws. So IT Act amendment is also one of the major part. So today I'll also cover this IT Act amendment of 2008 and all. So I'll cover with some sections as well. So quickly, I'll just go through with the slides of ISO. I think that would be better for you. And after that, I immediately come to the IT Act, or I correlate the things with IT Act, right? So where is the information assets? I think whenever you are in IT auditing, so auditors also have three type of things nowadays in a cyber world, and especially in cyber security domain. The first part is asset management. So first we have to talk about the asset management. Second, we have to talk about the vulnerability assessment. And third, we have to talk about the penetration testing model. So if we really want that my system, my infrastructure must be secure, at least we have to cross these three stages. And then only we again, not only these three stages, that is in the cyclic form, so that the entire maintenance of the latest versions of the tools, tricks, or any particular application, or even we have to go with the log analysis, that what type of application being accessed by the users, what are the number of hits on that. So statistical or analytical content is more important nowadays on cyber security as well. So there are special courses even nowadays which we are also going to organize, and we are working on it, that we use Python or any specific language where we are taking the logs of the servers, like web server logs, email server logs and all, and then we'll take it to the analytical form for the machine learning or artificial intelligence, where we are trying to identify which IP was trying to hit and acting like a hacker on our server, and on which domain, on which particular areas or links which they are trying to hit, and what is their criteria, what is their type of attack. Means somebody is making some changes in the URL which is not allowed to do so. So if they are trying to hit or generating number of hits on that basis, can be able to diagnose it, can be able to identify that. So even nowadays there is a new era of artificial intelligence and machine learning model on cybersecurity. So we are also working on those model, and we are generating lots of new topics and new concepts. So practical, some case studies are there, some hypothetical examples are there with us, where we are working on those grounds, right? So where is your asset? So again, it is very clearly mentioning that what is my asset. So types of assets, like you have even business data, email data. So where is your email? Is that your email is on Google, on Gmail? So I really appreciate, stop using Google or Gmail. You must purchase your own domains. Even for the organization, they already have the domain. So they must maintain the email server and in their premises. Should be legitimate services or standards is to be maintained on that basis. Because if we take a cloud services or these third-party services like from Google or any other third-party service provider, actually what happened, you're going to give their entire data to someone else, and some third party is going to maintain all these things, or they are accessing, or might be they'll taking a benefits of that. So it means our data is already get compromised. Somebody is behind us who was trying to hack us, right? So where is your data? That is more important. And according to that data, we should maintain the security part. Now my data is in the plain text. Is it in the text files? Because mostly email servers keep all their mails in the text files. So if the data is in the text files, then what happened means any could be an admin, so internal employee or any external attack, any type of internal or external attack could be applied on the server, then what happened? So what is the security part? It is always being, reported to the IT head that he was or she was maintaining. So because of that, they are liable for these kind of things. No, that is, again, they already have the liability, but they also have to propose the security standards, and that has to be maintained by the organizations. So many things which we have to talk about on these grounds. What are the types? Where is my data? What is my asset? And now we have to talk about the security standards or security management related issues, that all type of information will be on a paper based, electronic based, or both mode. Most of the organization, even in India, we are working on double working standard, that we have a data on the paper as well as on e-copy. So wherever you have the data. Now, what is the difference in cyber security and information security? Why this course is more talking about information security? Because our data could be also available on a paper, on a piece of paper. Cyber world is only and only talking about the digitalization and digital world. In information security, we are talking about even the non-technical security part as well, because my data is also lying on the file, on the piece of paper. And if it is on the piece of paper, what are the types of security standards applied even on that piece of paper? So information security is little broader than cyber security or digital security, or then we have different I would say sub security domains like network security, data security. We'll talk about sometime disk security. We talk about internet security, and many other different domains are there. So all quickly, these are, so basically in information security, three major standards are there: confidentiality, integrity of the data, and availability of the data. Confidentiality, first we have to talk about how privately we can transmit the data. What type of algorithms or cryptographic algorithms or standards need to be applied so that we can able to protect my data. We can able to secure my data on certain grounds. So how you'll secure from unauthorized unauthorized access or disclosure of that data. And moreover, on these grounds, we should also go for some tests. So you should apply some test cases as well. Okay. So these are the different types of test cases where we have to talk about what are the procedures and policies applied for the confidentiality of your data. What about the integrity of your data? Now, it means integrity means like, can we able to communicate in being into the altered way, or so what is the modification process? Anyone have the substitution in case if the system is not working? How you protect your data against unauthorized modification and substitutions? If integrity is compromised, no point in the protecting of data is there. So what is the process? What is the standards which we are following for the integrity purpose? And the data which is moving in the form of like transparent envelope, or that could be like a tampered as an evident. So my concern is, what is the procedure? What is the criteria of transferring the data? So we must talk about three major standards, that is CIA, C for confidentiality, I for integrity, and obviously we should not increase the securities in such a way that even my data is unavailable to me and it will take a lot of time to process the data or to decrypt the data, or making, opening multiple locks unnecessary and wasting time on a day-to-day basis. So it has to be more user friendly, and we have to talk about the availability of the data as well. So these are the system responsible for delivering, storing, and processing the information accessible whenever it's need, and we are going to work on it. So these are about the system accessible and only those who actually need them. So it means another availability part, like we have a data on the server, but we have multi users. So is that like every user can able to access that data? Is it like that, like any user can come and access that data? or we have some group policies, or we have some specific user standard policies that before you are opening, that has to be intimated to your administrators or other users, or even their organization, their IP has to be identified, and even like IP belongs to which country. Let's say one of my boss who is going to open or explore a particular content, so he is eligible to access, but being an IT administrator, I'm not going to access that content, but I need a one log, one information that my boss is going to access this content on this date and this time from Indian IP or from US IP or from Russian IP. So why this user is trying to log in from Russian IP? That is an incident. That is has also be, the concept of integrity check as well, right? The data is available to that user, that specific user. So might be that user's system or their account might get compromised. Due to that, somebody is using a proxy servers or some VPNs and trying to access the data, right? So why they are accessing their data? That is the most important part, and we have to take care of it, and we have to mitigate the risk factors on that basis, right? So what are the need of ISMS standards? So management concerns are there and security measure concerns are there. I think these are the major issues why we want the standards. So marketing reputation, as I said, like just to create a trust factor to your customers, or business continuity model, disaster recovery model. Even for disaster recovery, especially our enforcement agencies are more keen to understand the concept of DR. Do we have a DR websites or DR servers? Right, in case if there is a disaster on any particular site, or sometimes like think like Japan, they might be facing lots of tsunamis, and I think in every year out of that, more than 2 to 3 months they were suffering from unnecessary tsunamis and other issues, but they never report to any other country, and their data is always secure and up to the mark. How it is possible? If there is a tsunami, if it's an earthquake or any disaster, then what happened with your servers or your network infrastructures? What happened with your information, your data? Even in the organization, I have seen most of the blunder mistakes which they do. They always say, even I'm talking about IT heads, they have a servers, they have the backups, they have backups and backups, but all are in one room. So what is the mean of it? Another part is, nowadays there is a concept of clustering, server clustering. So are we really working on clustered servers? But again, the problem is, where is the clustered server? Whether it is in the same city or in other city or in the same office, in the same, you can say on a particular floor. So that is a real challenge. You're making a cluster server, that cluster server should not be in that particular premises. You must be able to host it on some other place because of the availability and data integrity issues. So you already have the data, so we have to create a kind of a similar backup real-time server, that is a clustered servers. We have to maintain the cluster servers. We have to report that in case if my server is not responding or having a very heavy load, or might be because of some DOS and DDoS attacks. So at least the customer should not suffer because of those activities. Why? How this Google, Facebook and all their servers are working? Even they already have a flooded information. Genuine legitimate users are so many. So what they are doing, they basically try to work always on clusters, and in every country they have their separate servers. So in India, if you really go and cross check, if you access Google as a search engine and you use Yahoo as a search engine, there is a huge difference, because Yahoo never deployed their servers, cluster servers in India, where Google already deployed a cluster servers in India, Bangalore. They already have their server set up in Bangalore. So IT was maintained from that particular place. Now the concern is, whenever we are trying to access Google for a search engine, that is more faster for Indians while accessing from Indian IP as compared to any other IP. And if we will do again the same access from Google or comparing to Yahoo, you can't imagine. Almost this is what the survey was like, almost 84 milliseconds, within the span of 84 milliseconds, will get the reply from Google. And Yahoo was giving us the reply in 252 milliseconds. So it means if you compare Yahoo and Google, you'll automatically get to know that Google is more faster than Yahoo. So again, it is a matter of not only the confidentiality, disaster, or about the availability. So these are the main areas, and accordingly these ISMS standards has to be maintained. Obviously, cost is one of the major factor, because you can implement 20 good server for one particular application, hardly matters, but are you really required that? Because till the time you do not have that level of traffic, why you are unnecessarily creating the servers? Nowadays is a concept of cloud server. You must maintain a one hypervisor or other kind of, there are many Citrix servers, hypervisors, and many other cloud servers setup has to be maintained in the campus or in the organization only. And as per the demand and as per the requirement, we should add the virtual machines of that clustered servers immediately, and we should be able to access that services there and then. Obviously, the more important part is legal concern. Now, another major part, the real-time problem which are coming in the standardization part. Like most of the companies have their data in India, and their cluster servers are in, let's say, in UK or any European Union territory or in US. So the problem is now the legal challenges are there, because your data is actually belongs to Indian data or it's a European Union data. So already you heard about GDPR. That is the basically one of the standards which has already been approved by the European Union. So in case if your server or your any interaction is there with the European Union matter, you must cross check the GDPR policies. So GDPR policies, and they have a very, very heavy penalties, and already Google, Facebook, they already bound by those penalties. Reason, because they were not complying to that standard according to their country's legality. So if the data is of that particular country, that should not be disclosed. The nutshell of GDPR is. So the nutshell of GDPR clearly says that the data should never be disclosed. So again, we are talking about the confidentiality part, integrity and the availability of the data within that country. So that is what has been maintained by the European Union, and they are maintaining and working on GDPR policy. In India, December 2019, already Personal Data Protection Bill has already been presented in Lok Sabha in December 2019. Just because of COVID-19, I think we all were facing challenges and there was a delay in this particular file. But already this file has already been introduced in Lok Sabha and it has already been approved. And again, for further amendments or further challenges or whatever the queries might be they face, and so they are working on that. So only the concern is now already in India, we are also aware of the data integrity standards, even up to the country level. So we have a data like Aadhaar card data. So every citizen have their Aadhaar data. In case if it is, so that is what the major issue was like, and might be you heard about lots of rumors that, or lots of case studies and lots of issues that Aadhaar data has already been hacked and so and so. No, it was not actually hacked. But the problem was, who is accessing that data? Don't you think so? Like Reliance, whomsoever purchased the Geo SIM, they already place the thumb impression to the Geo servers. And as they already place the information to the Geo server, might be they already copied, and they obviously have to keep the records to whom they have issued their number. So they are processing in the legal form, but they spread their business model in such a way that I believe mostly up to 80% they already have a duplicate Aadhaar server in their office, because everybody purchased the Geo SIM for just for the free purpose. So remember, free is really dangerous for our country. We should aware of that nothing is free. If somebody is giving you free, that means something. That means we have to compromise something else, right? So only the part is how this. So my data, my information has already been available or disclosed by others or third-party applications. Now we are talking about like COVID-19. There is a one project where we are working on face recognition system and are connected with the thermal CCTV cameras. So suppose you are roaming on any public place, so your face will automatically get recognized. They'll recognize that your name and your details are so and so. So how we'll get your details? For that, we requested also to please connect that information with Aadhaar data, so that we can able to recognize, and we can also create our own database separately one by one, that so and so person visited on this date, this time, on this particular place. And a part of that, we, due to the thermal cameras, we can able to identify the temperature. Now if the temperature value lies in the range, it means that person is not infected with any bacterial infection or so. But if the temperature is more than that, so that might be the person is carrying a fever or any medical illness. So in case if there is any illness, we can able to immediately diagnose there is a one separate unit who automatically get activated. They got the information that so and so person is roaming on that particular place. Simply go and capture that person. So these kind of new models are coming, but only the problem with these models are, what about standardization, security, confidentiality, integrity, availability, and all that issues. So we are working and we have these kind of concepts to mitigate the risk factors, and even the public can work like anything. Again, on the basis of security standards and security practicing. So many good projects, many informative projects are available, and people are working on these grounds. So even at the time once it was initiated, so earlier it was called as ISO 27001 2005, where the structure was like this, that you have a different kind of structure where it was talking about the information security management systems. They are talking about the management responsibilities, internal ISMS audits, and management reviews of ISMS and improvements of that. But it has already been upgraded in 27001 2013 series, where out of 5, now there are 7 clauses. So they spread across in the 7 clauses, and those 7 clauses like the context of the organization, leadership, planning, support, operational, performance evaluation, and improvement model. So it has already been, increasing day by day. It is basically extending day by day. So we can go and compare, even though new latest standards are also available. But I'm just giving you, because in the book also you have that much of level, and that particular standards were there. I think this course was actually designed in the year of 2010 or so. So accordingly, you might have some common or basic standards of 27,000 series. But what do you mean by the other standards and the latest techniques? That what I want to share it with you. So that is risk assessment, and risk assessment with the different level of standards. So quickly, I'll just go through with the basic content, controls, documentation, and other activities which has been annexed in different plannings and auditing process of 27001 2013 series. So after 2013, there is a 2015, and furthermore, certain standards and activities has already been introduced. So in case if we talk about the number of domains and the controls, a basic criteria was like, we should talk about the control objectives and the controllers who are taking care of these kind of things. So accordingly, these are the activities which has been introduced. So what is the criteria and how many number of objects, control objectives and controls are available in your organization? So there must be some rating or some numbering on that basis. Let's say are you really taking care of the physical and the environment security? If you are taking care, like you have a server. Now server is available like in other desktops, similar like other desktops are kept, or servers has already been kept in some physical security. You need an access card or that a specific permission, and even other employees access card is not applied to those particular locations, so that they'll not be able to enter to that server rooms. And in case if somebody enter to the server room, we have the logs for that. Why so and so user enter to the server room, and that has to be objectionable or questionable part. So we have to talk about the physical and the environment security model. And in case if we are really maintaining it, and up to what standard, accordingly you will get the ratings or a kind of a control. So the numbering process has already been initiated, and then only you will get the certifications also. So that is a kind of a clause, and that kind of issues has to be talked about and discussed about in these things. So quickly, I'll just come to the main point. So these are the areas of ISMS documentation level that we have to maintain from the L4 to L1. L1 is making the policies, but actually the evidences are there on L4. So provides the objective evidences of the compliance to ISMS requirement, describes how the task and specific activities is to be done on the L3 level. So checklist, form, creation, that has to be taken on the L3 level. L2 level, there must be some procedure, some decision maker, that who will do this, what has to be done, when it has to be done, and where it has to be done, right? So that kind of the level of process has to be taken care on L2 level, and finally the entire risk has to be taken on L1 level. So it is in the different format, like who will take care. So bottom to top or top to bottom, they have a different type of hierarchy. Types of risk. So I think this is more important in your examination also, that what do you mean by risk assessment, risk treatment, and risk management. I think you have to go through in the books. The content has already been written in the books. So different standard, different controls, different guidelines were already issued. So quickly, it's a big, because lots of things are there. I quickly just shown you some certain standards to access this particular part. Now I quickly come to the part of IT Act, laws and legal implications for personal security or common cyber crimes, and government laws for the rules in the information security model. So what is IT Act? The most important part is in this, we have to talk about the completely cyber law. So India was the 13th country where in the year of 2000, IT Act was introduced and called as IT Act 2000. But it was initiated with the comparison of the other countries' laws and other different types of IT standards. But and the best part, the day this this act was introduced in Lok Sabha, the best part, without any single objection, it was simply approved, because nobody was aware of in the year of 2000. Nobody was aware of what is the digital word and what is this cyber word and why you all are talking about all these things. But so there are lots of things was actually came across for the different types of challenges for the ministries, or even for the government, for enforcement agencies, or even for the public, because that was not in approach. So earlier the investigation rights, as under section 78 of IT Act 2000, the investigation rights was derived to only to SP, DYSPs. So DYSP or DCP or above could only able to resolve those cases. But now after the amendment of IT Act, in IT Act Amendment 2008, so section 78 has already been, now the power of investigation has already been derived up to inspector level. So inspector means the person who is 3-star in any enforcement agencies. They have the rights to even investigate the case. They can able to handle the case. So anyone can go to any police station where the SHO, I'm talking about police station, I'm not talking about police post. So anywhere, wherever you have a proper police station and where the inspector used to be there for being a SHO, so they can even able to investigate such cases. They can able to handle those cases. Apart of that, in India, we already have a separate cyber cells in DCP offices or SP offices, and even in these cyber cells, they already have a team. Cyber investigation teams are there, which has already been deployed, because of the volume of the cases which are coming nowadays has tremendously increased. So what are the reasons, what are the ways, and what are the common sections? So being into the technology and some legal terms, this is a very, very good sections, I think, where you can work upon. But for your examination, I really appreciate if you can go through with the common section. I dictate, please note down few of the sections. And if you, it's better if you can note down. So I started with the sections like, section 3, 3A. That is basically one of the section which is defining. So IT Act is basically divided into 3 major categories overall. First, initiated with the definitions of the sections or definition of some terminologies, and then majorly it has been divided into the 2 major part. One is non-cognizable or cognizable offenses, or in other way, penalties and offenses. So penalties were covered under chapter 9, and offenses has already been covered in chapter number 11. So if we'll go in these chapters, I think we can able to identify most of the things very easily, and you will be able to work upon it. So please note down some IT Act sections which are actually required to be discussed in the examination, and it is more important for your personal practice as well. Now the concern is, what is IT Act? So in case section 3A, basically that actually explains the concept of digital and electronic signature. So even there was a concept, or there was a question that what is the main difference between digital signatures and electronic signatures. So that has already been explained in this particular sections. A part of that, if you talk about, so 3 was basically the authentication of the electronic records, and section 3A is the electronic signature part. So that is the main part which has already been covered in the amendment of 2008, especially I'm talking about. A part of that, we have to basically main focus upon section, again, chapter number 7, where you have section 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, where section 35 clearly says, what do you mean by the certifying authority to issue the digital signature certificate? So I'm talking about DSAs. So as I said earlier also, that all the government officials or senior dignitaries must carry the digital signature for the concept of non-repudiation and maintain the due diligence while sending or transmitting or submitting any reports. And if the concept was clearly mentioned that non-repudiation means that now the person who submitted any document along with their digital signature, they cannot say no, they cannot deny that the information has not been submitted by them. So all the consequences to be borne by them only. So that what the definition of what, and the authority which has been given. So certifying authority, who are the certifying authority? CAs. Certifying authorities are more important, playing more important role for the digital signatures. I think I remember in Ministry of IT, Dr. Debjani Nag, that madam was there, who was leading the certifying authorities and taking care of it. Today, I don't know whether she's still there or not, but yes, she was a main authority person who was taking care, and luckily we were together on one of the platform and we delivered the sessions together. So long back now, but she was working on this as a DG of this particular part. Now, another part is representation upon the assurance of the digital signature certificate. That was under section 36. Suspension of digital signature certificate, that is in section 37. So from section 35 to 39, that is more related to certifying authorities and digital signature certificates. So that is what all about, where we have to think about all these things. Where the most important part is in actually chapter 9. Under chapter 9, there is a section called section 43. Basically, chapter 9 is for penalties and judications. Now, it means that is more like non-cognizable offenses. So if it is a non-cognizable offenses, it means there is mostly bailable offenses. So the whomsoever accused is there, they might get a bail on the basis in case if they were committed some crime. But under section 43, if it is related to that. So it is might be under compensation, or it's not a serious offense in any way or any manner. So that would consider under the penalties. So section 43 is more important to understand, because under section 43 there are 10 different parts of section 43, where if we can disclose one by one, I think mostly all the hacking attempts has already been covered into that. So if we really work upon it, so if you can check like what is section 43, that is clearly said that if any person without the permission of the owner or any other person who is in charge of the computer system and computer network, so it means any person whomsoever is committing any activity which has already been derived in the 10 sub parts of section 43, that these parts are like somebody is accessing your computer system, computer network. So it means I'll give a small case study. Like I have a phone, mobile phone, I left on the table, and same one of my colleague came and start exploring my phone. You can't imagine, you can sue them. If you have the evidence, you can take the evidence on there, and then might be you have CCTV and you can have a capture that without my permission they came and across my personal or private property, and somebody or your colleagues are accessing even your phone. So it means they might be get committed under section 43, that because they are accessing your phone or accessing your computer system, computer networks. So in the same way, anyone who is trying to download, copies, extract any data, database, or any information of from such your computer system, computer network, including information or data held on the stored or in any removable storage medium. So it means today you feel I have a one PDF file, I have one PPT, which is very important for me. And let's say I have shown you, I presented my PPT or my data to you, and you feel I need to copy this data, it is very valuable. If you copy that data in any removable drive like CD, DVD, pen drive, or via LAN without the owner's permission, it is again a crime. It is again under a penalty of 43, a part B, which covers, and they talk about these kind of things. Section 43 part C, so it basically introduced a cause to be introduce any computer containment, computer virus, or any computer system, computer network. So any type of malware introduced by anyone unintentionally. I'm not saying even intentionally, because if the intention is there, then we generally take the sections of offenses, will not take the sections of penalties, or might be both are possible, that I want a compensation and I want that person should be behind the bars. So that could be considered. So that's why for that we have to learn section 66. But first you need to understand section 43. So the most important part is you have to learn section 43, 43A, 44. So these are the basic sections. And then we'll turn up to section 43, 66, 67, 65, 66, 67. So these are the major sections which are actually about to generally ask, because it is more related to hacking attempt. And we are also talking about the type of compensations and all. So any person who committed such kind of penalty under section 43, can you imagine that the penalty might get exceeded up to 1 crore rupee? So if somebody accesses my phone, and if I have more valuable data and it get disclosed, so the type of the losses which borne by me, I can claim to those kind of losses to that accused, and they have to be penalized for that particular part, where that penalty might be extended up to 1 crore rupee, or even it may be extended by some commissioner get appointed by the on a special request to the session court, and so on. So basically what they can do, they can extend the penalty even up to 5 crore rupees. So for that we need to appoint a one commissioner. They'll analyze, they'll audit your entire case study, and they give their judgment. They give their own suggestion and opinion, or their report to the trial court, and accordingly they'll cross check, and accordingly then judge have the power to extend that penalty up to 5 crore rupees. So these are the real-time areas where already has been discussed in the legal sections. Even though if we talk about the damages, say damage to any computer system, computer network, that is in 43 part D. In part E, that is somebody is disrupt or cause to disrupt any computer system networks. Part F talk about denial of service attacks like DOS, or cause to be a denial of access to any person authorized to access any computer system, computer networks. G part is basically that if somebody is providing any assistance to any person to facilitate access to the computer system, computer network, and the contravention on the provision of this act. So any person who is giving any assistance to any other person to commit any type of activity which was already mentioned in this entire act is again liable for the penalties, even equal to that penalties. So H, that is basically the charges, the services availed, means if you are charging for hacking, hey, nowadays I have seen, I think most of the people say, you give me this much of amount, I'll hack somebody's email ID, I'll hack that account, I hack their mobile, and so on. So on charges basis, if somebody is doing, mostly the hackers who are generally active, doing such activities and involved in these kind of activities. So directly 43H is applicable for them. H is a subpart. It is not a section, but it is a subpart of it. It is explained in such a form. Then I, basically, I is used for destroys, deletes, or alter any information residing in the computer resources. So, or trying to diminishes its value or utility or effect injuriously by any means. Like we have a hard disk, we have external drive, somebody is trying to physically broken it, trying to even delete the data, trying to format the partitions, deleting partition, formatting partitions, deleting permanently that data. So all that activity was covered in I section, I part of 43. J is again stealing, concealing, destroying, altering, any person to steal, conceal, destroy, or alter any computer source code. So J is basically more talking about source code. It means they are more focusing on the IT companies, the data where the development is going on, some web development or application development, because their asset is their data, their source code. Say any company who spend good time, say 6 months to develop a source code, and now where the software is ready, so any employee or internal or external attack is there and they try to copy that data, that source code. So that was more little more towards the offense side in the court of law. But again, the penalties were mentioned under section 43, the part J over there. So these are the areas and which has already been discussed in section 43, which is very, very important to understand. And compensation for failure to protect the data, that has already been mentioned. Now, let's say any one organization, any person who is authorized to maintain the records, especially in the government sectors also, if they are failure to protect their data, if they are not able to maintain that data, then the penalties has already been mentioned separately under section 43A. 44, section 44 is penalty for failure to furnish the information and return. So in case if court or any official, higher officials are asking for any particular information, and your failure to furnish or to publish that or present that information in front of them, so there is a separate penalties under section 44. Accordingly, there are certain sections which also have to be discussed about. So whatever the sections were committed, say unintentionally, say mistakenly, these kind of things happened. So that was under the penalty of 43. But if the same kind of activity being performed by someone intentionally, knowingly, with ill will, then will not use section 43, then mostly the section 66, which is under chapter 11, section 66 is applied. So if any person dishonestly, fraudulently does any actor refer to in the section 43, he shall be punishable with imprisonment for the terms which may extend to 3 years or the fine which may extend to 5 lakh rupees or both. So that is what has already been mentioned under section 66, where section 65 was again for the tampering with the computer source document. Then we have lots of further subsections. 66A, please remember, nowadays this section 66A has already been null and voided by the Supreme Court judgment. That was a judgment. You can identify Union of India versus Advocate Shia Singhal. Basically, that was a petition applied by these advocates that Shia on section 66A. Basically, it is a collision between freedom to speech and with this section 66A, where 66A was punishment for sending any offensive messages through communication services. So any menace activity or any content which has been posted online, earlier that was because offense, so the person must be behind the bars and they have to take a bail from the court only, and they have to request for the bail to the court. So mostly this section was there. But if today I want to say something for anyone, if I'm saying something to anyone, it means might be I'm saying something positive to someone, but at the same time, even I have not spoken spoken. So if I have not spoken to particular part, but automatically for the opposed party, that is a negativity. So they say there might be, there is a defame content for us, they have not written for us, or even they written something wrong to us. So in that case, if they found anything offensive or which is related to their insult, danger, or criminal intimidation, and enmity, hatred word, or ill will word, if they found anything, annoyances, so inconvenience, so any kind of thing which has been identified by any party, they may lodge a complaint under section 66A. So that was actually the collision with the which is written in the Constitution of India, that is Article 19 of freedom to speech. So accordingly, nowadays no one can able to file an FIR on the base of section 66A. But again, if anybody is doing, it doesn't mean that now the liberty has been given to everyone to go and speak and write whatever you want to write on any portal, any online portal or so on, to anyone, because this section was not exist furthermore. So in that case, nowadays still some IPC sections are applicable, like IPC 499-500, that is basically for the defamation. So IPC sections are again applicable and again valid equally. So that has to be cross-checked, and instead of IT Act, the IPC sections are applicable also, or jointly the certain sections has already been applied on any particular case, depending upon case to case. Where section 66B, that is basically for the punishment for the dishonestly receiving stolen computer resource communication devices, which has already been mentioned. 66C is the punishment for the identity theft. Section 66D is the punishment for the cheating by personation. So if somebody is creating new account with someone's name or similar identity, similar DP, pic and all, and trying to create a nuisance in their circle, basically that is a cheating by the personation. So that is section 66D. 66E is the punishment for violation of privacy. So already this was one of the section, but now privacy we might be going to get a separate act also, data personal data protection bill, which has already been introduced, as I said. But there we are talking about in section 66E, like the changing room, somebody is trying to they might apply some hidden cameras, and so hidden camera or something like so, and there is a violation of the privacy. So again, the sections are there. Mostly the compensation is like 3 years imprisonment, 1 lakh rupee, 2 lakh rupee, 3 lakh rupee, or 5 lakh rupee, or both. So these are the common sections and commonly which has already been introduced in all these subsections also. Punishment of cyber terrorism, which is again little offensive, and that is section 66F, where the imprisonment may extend up to the imprisonment for life. So that is the only section 66F, where the accused, if that the real time punishment has means it has been committed, that he or she was engaged in that particular crime of cyber crime as a cyber terrorist, so then there is a provision for imprisonment to the life. Accordingly, the other sections are available, and especially where the section 67 nowadays, like women security, we generally talk about women security, child abuse, that kind of issues are already there. So for that, the section 67, that is publishing of information which is in the obscene in electronic form, or section 67A, that is publishing punishment for the publishing or transmitting the material which contain sexually explicit act, etc., in any electronic form. So it is a combination of sexual explicit act in electronic form also, so that was covered in section 67A, where 67B is more related to and more heinous in terms of in the court of law. That is basically the punishment for the publishing or transmitting for any material depicting the children in sexually explicit act. So basically we are talking more about child abuse. Section 67C, that is a preservation on the retention of the information by intermediaries. So again, the liability also comes to the intermediaries, like we have many ISPs or even cyber cafes, or so they are acting like intermediaries. Even for them, they have to preserve, and they have to talk about the retention of the information which has to be preserved by them for a certain period, which is compliant to the central government guidelines, and accordingly that has to be maintained. So that is section 67C. I think if we're really able to read and go through with all these basic sections. So nutshell is section 3, 3A, section 43, 43A, 44, then 65, 66, 67. If we'll really work on these sections and if we'll really read these sections, I think you can easily able to crack anywhere, wherever you are into the cyber laws and you have to appear for examination or you have to talk about these particular topic. Moreover, I already discussed about section 78A, that is a power to investigate the offenses. So the power has already been derived up to inspector level. Many other sections, 69, 69A is also there, that is for the power to issue the direction for blocking the public access of any information through any computer resource, and that is 69A. So means these are the basic information. And section 70B, which clearly says that Indian Computer Emergency Response Team to serve as a national agency for incident response. So under section 70B, CERT organization, CERT department has to be maintained. So any organization, even if you are working in any government organization, any particular part, and where you face any cyber incident and where you feel that you need some assistance, you can directly approach to CERT. They'll directly try to help you and give you some guidelines or give you some support in terms of investigations and other activities which has already been raised in your organization. So I hope on these grounds, if you really work upon, and you must go through with the documents, which are very, very important documents, and I think if we can really work on these major areas, we can able to access so the concern is then we can able to access all this question papers and this topic, very interesting topic. Means if you really in some working culture, if you're really working in any IT infrastructure or so, I think these topics are the basic core for your environment, to save your environment, for your information security best practices. So ISMS is one wonderful part which has to be more compliant with the legal part. So IT Act is more important for us. And equally, we have to also talk about some international standards if we are interacting with the international bodies. So European Union nowadays and many other countries have already initiated about the personal data protections, and the data has to be, so now they are little skeptical about the data, and they are more sensitive about, they are talking about the sensitivity of the data, the public information, or especially the information which is related to the citizen, to that country, or their assets, or their all the activities which are performed in their country. So that information should reside in their country only. So very soon you will see in India we'll get many data centers, and which has already been started, initiated. And the cloud computing part, even like Amazon was working in the cloud computing. So Amazon was there in US, but now Amazon already started, initiated, they deployed their cloud servers in Mumbai and many different places, so that now again you can take the Amazon services, but now the data resides in our country. The data is not in US or any other country, but the problem is they are maintaining from the other countries. So might be again the risk factor is still there, that might be they can also able to compromise the data which lies in India. So Indian data centers are like a hubs, a small hubs where might be the controllers are somewhere else. So we have to take lots of precaution. I think we should do some best practice where Linux is already there. I think on a client side or even on a server side, we try to use a Linux. We keep all the records on the in the organization and maintain all the clusters and similar kind of setups in the premises itself. And on that basis, let us try to make compliance for the trust factors and generate more reliability, or again the three major factors, that is confidentiality, integrity, and the availability of the data. So if we'll talk more on this, I think this is a wonderful topic which we have to work upon, especially for the management people, especially for the top dignities. These kind of topics are really very important for us. I think I am through with the basic topic and all that. I just over to Ushla ma'am. Ushla ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
I think they can also talk to me later as well, and they can ask me the queries in case if they have any problem or any issues. Ushla ma'am, I think some Mr. Ajay Kumar is going to ask you some queries, so please take a look. And over to you, ma'am. My topic is over on this particular part. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. It was very informative and wonderful session. And you have made the concept so simple and easy that our students will understand each and every concept. And my request is to just they will go through the study material. Then for better understanding, they have to go through the study material and read it. And language is so simple. So I once again thank you so much, sir, for today's session, and we are very grateful that you have come up and from the busy schedule you have taken time for us. So thank you so much. And for learners, with today's session we have completing our counseling sessions for this program. And I want to tell you that this course is only having theory component. There is no practical in this course, OSEI-043. And in other courses, OSEI-041, 42 and 44, there is the course code OSEI-041P. P is for practical. So you need to give the practical exam for 3 courses, for 41, 42 and 44, and not for 43. So and I want to tell you ki in all these courses you need to get 50% in term and examination, and for theory and practical. In every component, I must say, in assignments, in practicals, in theory, you need to secure 50%. At least 50% is the minimum passing weightage. So if the question paper for OSEI 041 and 4244, the theory exam is of maximum marks 50 marks. So you need to gain 25 marks out of 50 marks in order to clear that those 3 particular courses. And in this today's that OSE-043, that maximum marks is of 70 marks, because it is only having theory component. That is why the question paper will come for 70 marks, and out of that you need to secure 35 marks in order to successfully complete that theory this theory exam. And in practical exam, the question paper are of 100 marks each, and in this you have to attempt 2 questions out of 3 questions, and you have to give viva also. So each question carrying 40 marks and viva carrying 20 marks. So that consists of 100 marks total. So you need to give the practical exam. I'm once again repeating, for 3 courses only, 41, 42 and 44. So with these things, I want to end this session. And if you have any query, then please write an email to me and we will address to it. And what is the question for this?
Ma'am, and OSE 43 question has been asked like vulnerabilities in cyberspace, whereas OSE 3 talks about IT Act and ISMS and a legal aspect of the information security. So this same question is in assignment 1 also, some to, up to extent 2 also. So should I write from OSEI 41 and 42 same content here also in assignment 3? Because the question does not relate to IT Act or something, like first question of OSE 3, vulnerabilities of cyberspace. That is my question, ma'am.
Okay, I will have to go once again with the questions thing, because I don't remember the questions right now. So once I will go through it, and then I will write I will give the answer to it through email.
Thank you,
right?
ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank
Okay, sure. Okay then. See you and have a nice day. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.